Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, my name's Dychronic, your host here on this Destiny 2 video, and today we're going to be talking about the top 5 PvP heavies in Destiny 2. So this list is going to be based entirely on my own opinion of my favorite weapons to use in the Crucible for the heavy slot, so obviously things are going to be different for you if you have a different playstyle, or if you like different weapons, or you use certain weapons a little bit more than I have. Obviously these things are going to be different. If there are things that you really think that I should be checking out and taking a second look at, let me know in the comments down below, because I'd love to try out some new things. And of course, this video also comes with my spreadsheet. We can see my top 10 favorite weapons, as well as all my perk recommendations for all of the different heavies that I did assess for this video. If you wanted access to that, make sure you stay to the end. We'll talk about how to get that at the very end. And of course, no Dychronic top 5 would be complete with cute and fluffy animals near the beginning of the video, getting you guys brainwashed and ready for my sponsors, Control Freaks. If you did not know, you can get 10% off everything on their store if you use my code Dychronic at checkout. You support me as a creator, you get some discount off, and Control Freaks are honestly amazing. I still use them. Like, they're just incredible things to have on your controller. On top of the fact they also have all these grips and wires and all the extra stuff they do sell in their store. Without further ado, let's go ahead and get into number 5. In this top 5 countdown, we have the exotic linear fusion rifle known as Sleeper Simulant. Now, I gotta be honest, the first thing that comes to mind when I think of this weapon is that a lot of people are sleeping on this weapon. This weapon is actually really powerful and not enough people are using it. I even put it as my #1 favorite PvE heavy weapon in the game, and now in PvP it is definitely in my top 5. Now, every exotic in the game has its own little gimmick that makes it special or unique, that it does very specifically well. The Sleeper Simulant's gimmick is that it one-shots everyone in the body. It can one-shot, body shot every single class in the game, and it can one-shot, body shot most supers in the game. This weapon is really powerful and not a lot of people are using it. On top of the fact, you also get 4 ammo from the heavy spawn, meaning that you have 4 shots to use and kill a lot of enemies. And on top of that, the catalyst also makes it so it charges faster, so you can have a lot better RPM, you can have a lot better of a charge time, and you can kill a lot more enemies without being killed yourself. Honestly, the only downside to this weapon is that it does require a little bit of aiming. It is an exotic and it does take a little bit of time to get, so its accessibility is not the best, but it is so powerful that I highly recommend you get it if you don't have it. Coming up at number 4 in this top 5 countdown is going to be the exotic fusion rifle known as 1000 Voices, and in my opinion, one of my favorite weapons of all time in the entire Destiny series. Just a lot of fun to use and effective at a lot of different things. So if you did not know, this weapon works by shooting a continuous beam of death, and it superheats the target upon impact and causes delayed explosions after the impact. So you basically just coat an area with a bunch of explosions, half a second later it then explodes, and you do absolutely an amazing amount of damage. This weapon can basically kill any super in the game with half a volley of a single shot. On top of the fact that it is AoE as well, so you can hit lots of other enemies all at the same time. You're playing control points, you just light up the control point, not a lot that they can do, especially if they're popping super, they're just gonna get shot down immediately. This weapon is very, very powerful. The only downside to this weapon is the fact that it does take a bit time to charge, so you're very vulnerable during this phase. You can also stick something right in front of you and get yourself killed, which I do very often, and it's very inaccessible. Probably one of the hardest weapons in the entire game to get. It's a 2% chance of dropping on the final chest in the Last Wish raid, and let's just say I had a clanmate that did 90 of them before he finally got his first one, so this can be a very unlucky roller. Coming up at number 3 in this top 5 countdown is going to be a tie between Play of the Game and Edge Transit. Both 120 RPM grenade launchers, both of them with literally the exact same possible perks on them. Edge Transit dropping from any of the world drops, and then Play a Game dropping from any of the Crucible drops. They are both very, very accessible. The only differences are going to be some minor stat differences. The most important statistics to look at is that the Play of the Game has more velocity and the Edge Transit has more handling, among some other changes and differences, but those are going to be the most important part. All in all, these grenade launchers are going to be your best grenade launcher options in the entire game for PvP. They're just very good at what they do. They have a lot of great perk options. They're very accessible, and overall, they're just, in my opinion, the best options that you have. Coming up at number 2 in this top 5 list is going to be the legendary heavy machine gun known as Hammerhead. Now, this HMG has been ripping it up in Gambit and Crucible since Black Armory. It's already received a nerf and it's still very good at doing what it's doing. To this point, you can actually kill an entire enemy team of 6 players with a single brick of heavy ammo. If you are hitting your headshots and you're not wasting ammo, this weapon is actually a little too powerful for the Crucible right now. To the point that the guys at Bungie have mentioned in a recent TWAB that they're going to be adjusting the amount of ammo that you get for heavy machine guns in the Crucible because it is a little bit too rampant. Now, what makes heavy machine guns so very powerful in the Crucible? First of all, if you're good with the ammo conservation, if you're getting your headshots, you're not wasting shots, this weapon can last you a long time and get you more than 4 kills with a single heavy brick. On top of the fact that the hammerhead itself is a very good, very controllable, very stable weapon you can use at a lot of different ranges. On top of that, it also has a lot of great perk options that you can use, from ricochet rounds to tap the trigger, high impact reserves, mulligan, lots of great options for PvP. And then lastly, it is very, very accessible. From Black Armory, just pick the forge frame for the heavy machine gun, you will get it to drop every single time you do it. You just keep doing that until you get the roll that you want, and honestly, there are so many good rolls, you only need like 1 or 2 of them before you find exactly what you're looking for. And finally, coming up at number 1 in this top 5 countdown is going to be the exotic rocket launcher known as Wardcliffe Coil, probably the most deserved number 1 in the entire list of all of my lists, because this weapon, I would say in general, most people would agree that it's the number 1 weapon in Crucible just because it is extremely effective at doing what it needs to do, and it's also extremely easy to use. Now, you may hate on the weapon, but I still think that you will agree that it is an effective weapon. So if you've never actually heard of the Wardcliffe, it's basically a shotgun combined with a rocket launcher. It shoots out a volley of rockets that kind of wiggle through the air and kind of track towards targets. So basically any enemy from short to mid range will just be guaranteed to die, and sometimes you'll get that lucky long-range kill by accident. There's also a couple of other little cool things you can do with it. Firstly, if using double rocket launcher scavenger, anytime you pick up a heavy brick off the ground, you get 3 rockets for the Wardcliffe Coil. So let's say you get it off the wall, you get 2 shots for it, because that's the regular amount of rockets you get for a Wardcliffe Coil. You use one of the Wardcliffe Coil shots, you die, the brick drops on the ground, you go back, pick up that brick, you'll have 3 more shots. Use 2 of those brick, die again, the brick goes on the ground, you can get it again, you get 3 more shots. Now, if you have a team full of people with Wardcliffe Coils, or at least a good majority of them with Wardcliffe Coils with this double rocket launcher scavenger stuff, you can basically keep infinite amounts of Wardcliffe Coil shots, killing lots of enemies, and just dominate the heavy ammo spawn. You're gonna win most games just by dominating the heavy with this strategy. And like I was saying before, this weapon is very, very powerful. A single one of those little rockets that hit an enemy will outright kill any of the Guardians. Now, if they're in their super, you can just launch that entire volley at them. As long as like 3 or 4 of them hit, you're gonna kill any super in the entire game. And this thing shoots out like 12 to 15 of those little rockets. It is very easy to shut down enemy supers. Now, the only issue is gonna be if they're in the air or above you, but even then, like I said, it's like a shotgun of rockets. You might actually kill them anyway. The only downside to this weapon is, firstly, it is an exotic, so it kicks out exotic choices for other things. However, in my opinion, it is the best exotic choice for PvP, so that's basically a non-issue. And then secondly, you will kill yourself a lot with this weapon, but even then, if you kill yourself with the last shot, you'll drop the heavy ammo brick and you can go back and pick it up again. So it might actually be a benefit that you kill yourself so often with it. And that is going to be pretty much it for my top 5. Moving on to my spreadsheet, which should be on screen now. If you did not know, I make these kind of spreadsheets for all of my top 5 videos, and I give them to you guys for free to use as a resource if you want to use them. And it tells you everything you're going to want to know about certain weapons, like the frame type, RPMs, where you get them, where it drops, my perk recommendations for the legendary weapons. If you want to know where you get a pinnacle quest, I have them linked. If you want to know where to get an exotic quest, you want to know where to get a catalyst, or how to get it, or how to complete it, what it takes, what it does. It's all here listed, color-coded in beautiful goodness with pictures and images. Even has legends and extra notes across the side. All the things are sourced. And of course, if you ever wanted links to my control frame discount, it's all here for you guys in case you want it. Now, where can you get this, you might ask? If you haven't actually gotten one of these before, all you do is head over to my Discord, which is linked in the description down below. And on my Discord, there's a channel called #YouTube_Twitch. Just go to around the date that this video came out, and this spreadsheet will be linked right there. I did want to make a quick mention to 2 specific weapons. First of all, Truth. I don't actually have it yet, but I've heard that you get 3 rockets in the tube from the heavy ammo, and that's actually really powerful, on top of the fact that you have proximity explosion and tracking. That's very powerful, but in my opinion, if you have the choice between Wardcliffe and Truth, you're gonna pick Wardcliffe pretty much every single time. And then the second thing I wanted to mention, Thunderlord is powerful, but its extra RPMs when you hold down the trigger is more powerful in PvE than it is in PvP, because you never really exploit that extra RPM very often. And that's gonna be pretty much it for the video. Again, in the comments down below, make sure you leave your questions, concerns, the weapon recommendations for me, and all that whatnot, hootenanny. I'll try to get to that as soon as I can. But that's it. My name's Dychronic, and I will see you guys on the next one.